As mentioned before, today is International Gynecological Health Day, which shines a light on preventative screenings and reproductive health. We are joined again by gynecologist Dr. Kennedy, who will help us understand why these visits are essential at every stage of life. Welcome back, Doctor.
Thank you, Zoraida.
What is preventative screening?
So the aim of preventative screening is self-explanatory, to prevent big problems.
Okay.
So in gynecological health, we try and prevent initially problems that could lead to issues falling pregnant or going into pregnancy. That's your initial screening. Then, of course, we worry about cancer screening. The big cancers that we're worried about is cervical cancer, hence your frequent pap smears. We're worried about ovarian cancer in the older women, hence your frequent transvaginal scans, and as well as we're worried about uterine cancer, which could initially show up as fibroids.
Okay.
And for that, again, we do a scan at every visit.
Yes. Yeah. What is a screening? What does that actually mean?
So it's something that it's a non-invasive form of picking up problems before they actually become big problems. For instance, cervical cancer screening. With cervical cancer screening, what we do is we do a pap smear, which is basically put a brush around your cervix, and then we look at those cells on a microscope, and what we're looking for is any changes that could lead to mutations into cervical cancer. And because we know how to treat these changes, we can then manage them usually by cutting out these cells in order to reduce your risks of cervical cancer. So all in all, that's what screening has to do. It has to do with picking up precancerous changes, so changes that happen before they become cancer, taking care of them, and then reducing your risks of cancer.
So a measurement to hopefully help you live longer. I love that.
Yes.
Doctor, what age should one start with screening?
Your first thing is having that HPV vaccination at a very young age, right? And then as soon as you have your first sexual contact, your first appointment for a pap smear should be within a year of that first sexual contact. That's with the pap smear. If that is normal and you're proven to be HPV negative, then every 3 years you have a pap smear just to make sure. But with the pelvic ultrasound, the recommendation is to do it annually because these growths can show up at any point in the year or in your reproductive years.
I want to ask you, this vaccination, should boys have that too?
Yes, it's not marketed for boys because the studies were still in their early ages, but there are preliminary results that show that because HPV has been implicated in issues such as penile cancer, for instance, they are now coming to the party to recommend it to be given to boys. But currently, it's not marketed for boys. Currently,
and then when it comes to pregnancy, obviously your doctor, your healthcare practitioner will speak to you about your screening then. And then let's talk about menopause.
Yes. So, as I mentioned previously, the big thing we're worried about menopause is cervical cancer as well as ovarian cancer.
Yeah.
But outside of that, we're also worried about the boobies. Breast cancer is a huge thing, and with hormones running around, as well as our current diet, we are seeing an increased amount of women with breast cancer with even no family history. So the current recommendation is to have your mammogram screening for breast cancer every year. Have your pap smear every 3 years. If you have a normal pap smear, of course, that changes if there was an abnormal pap smear or any concerns previously, and have a pelvic ultrasound every year. This is because ovarian cancer is kind of a tricky cancer. By the time you become symptomatic for ovarian cancer, it's often too late. And a scan could help us pick up little cysts or little growths in your ovaries that would allow us to suspect the possibility of something ominous growing in your ovaries. So annual pelvic ultrasounds is the current recommendation.
And who would you go to for that? Your
gynecologist.
A gynecologist.
Yes, a gynecologist.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard of that before. Definitely have planted that into my book. Thank you for that recommendation. Let's talk about preventative measures now, aside from screening, but lifestyle factors. What can we do to make sure that we live, you know, a great health span and lifespan?
You can't overestimate the power of activity. So the biggest issue is we don't go out more often and get some sunshine. We don't exercise a lot more often. And I think in our generation, that's our biggest problem. So of course, exercise in order to reduce your body mass index, that's reducing your weight, as well as your body mass index in general, will reduce a whole lot of your risk, reduce your risk for hypertension, diabetes, aches and pains, and even reduce your risk of being symptomatic from a menopause point of view. But not only that, a fit patient often does better on treatment. So if we do pick up something is abnormal and you are already fit, chances are you will be able to go through chemo, for instance, much better and have a better outcome. So that's the first thing. And of course,
so get active. Don't live a sedentary lifestyle.
Yes,
okay.
Yes. And the other thing that I would advise is, of course, diet, having a balanced diet. So a lot of us look at the word diet and we often think we need to be eating less. We need to be eliminating something in order to either lose weight or reduce our risk. But of course, when I talk about diet, I'm talking about balanced diet. All the elements in every food we need. And if you're going to be eliminating something like meat, for instance, from your diet, you need to have alternatives on how to replace iron, for instance, because you do need the iron, right? So make sure that your diet is overall healthy. And then the last thing, laugh a lot.
Okay. So I like the laugh a lot, because when you're laughing a lot, you're not stressed out. It means that you are in a high state of relaxation and you've got those happy hormones going through your body. Doctor, it's been such a pleasure having you here, and I certainly hope that we get to see you back sometime again.
Thank you, Zoraida.
Thank you for all the incredible work that you do. So we hope that today's discussion has encouraged you and our viewers out there to take charge of your health by scheduling regular checkups and staying informed about your body. Remember that your health is your future. Coming up next, we will show you a meal prep that is easy with our chili macaroni and cheese. Sounds yum.
Delicious.